This is Parashat Shlach Lecha, which is the parasha, the Torah portion about the 10 spies. So this should be an exciting reading. As usual, if you want to raise your hand or annotate on the screen, here's how you do it. And we're going to start with a super simple verse. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. God spoke to Moses saying, and then here's where we get into the good stuff. Who's going to be the first reader? Go ahead, Thomas.
Okay. שלח לך אנשים ויתורו את ארץ כנען אשר אני נותן לבני ישראל, איש אחד למטה אבותיו תשלחו כל נשי Bahem.
All right, very good. What's this word right here?
Nasi.
Oh, Nasi, yes. Very good. And then just one little hiccup right here with that pausal form.
Oh, Tishlahu.
Tishlahu.
Okay, yes. Tishlahu.
Very good. Excellent reading. Shlach lecha anashim v'yaturu et eretz Canaan asher ani noten livnei Yisrael ish echad lemate avotav tishlachu kol nasi vahem. All right, so there's the section right here. There are the words after which the parasha is named, first significant words of the section. What is shlach? What kind of a word is shlach? It's imperative.
It's an imperative word?
It is. What binyan is shlach? Does it belong to?
Pal.
Yeah, exactly. Pa'al or kal, easy binyan, no fancy bells or whistles. And why does it get an ah sound instead of an o sound like they're supposed to?
Because it's got a dagesh for it.
Because it has a what?
Dagesh before.
Where's the dagesh?
Oh, not dagesh, sorry, schwa.
This?
Yeah.
So what about imperatives like this one, which also have a shva?
Okay.
It's a guttural.
Gutturals. Gutturals are always messing up vowels. That's the problem here. If we get a guttural either in the second or third root letter, that's when you'll get your ah sound. Shmor does not have a guttural. I know sometimes resh acts like a guttural, but as far as this rule, as far as yiktols with an o vowel go, and resh does not count as a guttural. Shlach lecha, send for yourself. Anashim, men, v'yaturu. What is the root of this word?
Yatar. They may say,
What's the root? What's the root? Yod tav resh.
Natar.
That is
Sure.
Notar.
There is a root, yod tav resh, and it's the same root as a very common Hebrew word, especially in modern Hebrew.
It's yoter. Is full, more.
It actually means to jut out or be excessive. So yoter is more, exactly. But that's not this root. It's not this one. I'm not sure what nun tav resh is. Does anyone know what the root nun tav resh is?
No.
I mean, I know the form notar, but it actually is the nifal of yod tav resh. So is there a root nun tav resh? As a matter of fact, yes. Nun tav resh means to spring up, start up, probably related to Nun Shin Resh. And it occurs in the Bible in one place in Job. So probably not that one. So what's the root? Is Yod a Yiktol letter?
Yes. Noon. Yes. Yiktol
Yes.
for.
Yeah, Yod is a Yiktol letter, and U could be its partner.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if it were just U at the end, then you have to wrestle with the vowels. What verbal pattern has a U as a pattern, as a vowel pattern?
Paul.
Okay, paul, very good. Paul is a passive participle, so it doesn't take verbal conjugation endings. So that means we're looking at a root right here. What's the root?
Wow.
Tur.
Tur.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you want to use a root that you're more familiar with, try v'yashuvu. Doesn't it appear the same way? V'yashuvu, and they will return or come back.
Yes.
Here it's tav, vav, resh. That's preserving the vav right there, at least as a vowel. And it means something like run reconnaissance. So here, that they may search out or run reconnaissance at Eretz Canaan, on the land of Canaan. Asher ani noten livnei Yisrael, that I'm giving to the sons or children of Israel. And then ish echad, one man, one man. Why would Hebrew repeat that?
It's man after man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's probably pointing out, do this over and over, one man for each, or something to that effect. Lemate avotav.
It's giving an emphasis.
It can, okay, when repetition definitely can give emphasis. That's one of the functions of repetition. But here, because it's talking about each man, or one man, it's talking about one man for each.
Okay.
Each what? Mate avotav. Each tribe of his fathers. I know they put their fathers, but it's actually a 3ms suffix referring back to the ish, each and every man, his fathers. So tishlachu, you shall send. So tav here, u there, is that a singular or a plural you?
It's a
Plural.
It's a plural.
To whom is who speaking? Who's speaking to whom?
An ish to another ish? Or is it masculine plural?
It's the sons.
Is it
To the
Moses
sons.
speaking to you all? Ish, maybe?
That's what I was working out.
Okay, good. Kol nasi vahem, each a ruler among them, or referring probably to all the tribes, possibly.
Is that where we get the name Nasim from?
The name, are you thinking of Nisim?
Nisim, or Nisim,
Okay.
yeah.
Nisim comes from miracle or banner.
Oh, right.
Spelled with a samech. I had a good friend who was named Nisim. Haven't seen him in a while. But here, nasi comes from the root nasa, to lift, bear, or carry. And
yes.
So the ruler is the one who is promotable, liftable, bearable. Bearable, wow.
Depends
All right.
where.
Next reader. Well, who's going to read next?
Shall I have a shot?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. Vaishalach et etem Moshe mi mitbar paran al pi Adonai kulam
Mhm.
anashim rashi beni Israel hemad hema.
Him. Very good. Excellent. Only this holum right here, I think you missed. How do you pronounce this?
Otem.
Otam.
Otam.
I did also highlight this little guy down here. It's a silent shva, vayishlach, as opposed to vayishalach, because it's following a short vowel. I'll read it through one time. Everyone can follow along. Vayishlach otam Moshe mimidbar paran al pi Adonai kulam anashim Rashi V'nei Yisrael Hemma. All right, so this is just telling us more information about those men who are chosen to be the 10 spies to go run reconnaissance. Moses sent them. They were all heads of the sons of Israel. So heads of the sons of Israel is referring to leaders of the tribes, as we just read in the preceding verse. A little itty bitty verse.
And
Oh,
the
you know what?
call,
Question.
and the call, I can use it with suffix.
Oh yeah, pronominal. You can
Yes.
put
Yes.
kol. Excuse me. Let me say that differently. You can
Yes.
put pronominal suffixes on kol. When you do, it becomes
Cool.
kul, kulam, kulanu,
Kulo.
kulo. Exactly. Kuli,
Yes.
all of me. Yeah, exactly.
Kulta.
What?
Cool second person.
Kulcha.
Kulha, Entschuldigung, sorry.
Kulcha. So all of you, kulcha. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
And
translating is not so good, but it's with anashim,
well, all of them,
man.
you can
All of
see the
them is a
word, you
man.
can see the were is implied. All of them were
Yeah,
men.
yeah, okay. Mhm.
I would actually say it's because of this right here,
Mhm.
they,
yeah.
3MP, that I know this is a sentence. Kulam anashim rashi b'nei Yisrael hemma. Of course, in modern Hebrew, I would say hemma kulam anashim rashi b'nei Yisrael, but whatever, word order doesn't matter in biblical Hebrew, so we roll with it.
Mhm.
This
Okay.
is the
Thank you.
this is the less common form of hemma. It might have been invented to be an analogy with the feminine third person pronoun
Henna.
henna. Right, henna.
Mhm.
There we go. Now, it looks like we're getting into the names of each of the men that went. This is terribly interesting, but I'm afraid we're going to skip over it and move to something a little bit more interesting later on in the narrative. So, from Reuben, we get Shamua of Zakor. From Simeon, we get Shaphat of Hori. Here we go. From Judah, we get Caleb ben Yefuneh. He's a well-known one. That's a good question to ask about right now. Of the 12 spies, I said 10 spies earlier. Of the 12 spies, how many of their names do we remember? 2. Just the 2,
Yeah.
the 2 that brought good news. Everybody else, Do you
Joshua and
remember?
Caleb.
Yeah, exactly. Do you remember Yigal, son of Yosef?
No.
Let's
Sorry.
see. Here we get
Oh.
Hoshea bin Nun. This is he's going to have a name change to Joshua. He's originally Hoshea, same as the prophet
Oh,
Hosea.
yeah.
Hoshea bin Nun becomes Yehoshua bin Nun of Ephraim. Then we get Palti, Gadiel, Gadi, Amiel, Setur, Nahbi, Geuel. Okay, I think that's 12, isn't it? These are the names of the men.
But be
So-
honest, what'd you name your kids? Come on, what'd you name your sons?
oh, wonderful Hebrew names. All right, who's going to read the next one?
Can
I
I
can
try? Oh,
do.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
Nadiva, you haven't read yet, so please go ahead. I want to
Oh,
give
but if you
everybody
guys
an
want to
opportunity.
read,
Well, yeah, Thomas
Up-
already read. Now it's your turn.
Nee, Eileen.
Oh, excuse me, Eileen. Eileen's turn
Eileen
to
didn't
read.
get a turn.
Eileen wants.
Go ahead, Eileen. No,
Okay.
no, after you. No, after you. I insist. No, after.
Alrighty. Al ha shemot
Ele shemot
ele shemot ha Tanaim
ha'anashim
Shim Asher
asher
Aselaha
shalach
Salah Moshe
Moshe
Le Advorah
Latur
Latur Et Haaretz
et haaretz
Aretz Voi no Voi Godesh
no, that's a resh. Vayikra
Vaikra Moshe o lo Leoshia
lehoshea
Leoshea Ben Nun
bin Nun
Binun Yeshua
Yehoshua. Very good.
Yehoshua
Ele shemot ha'anashim asher shalach Moshe latur et haaretz. Vayikra Moshe lehoshea bin Nun Yehoshua. Okay, so we just read through the 12 names. These are they. Oh, and by the way, Moses called Hoshea bin Nun Yehoshua bin Nun.
Is that
And
yeah?
go ahead, say again.
Is that the same root, Oshea
Oh,
and
sure.
Joshua?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Hoshea.
Hoshea is probably the he feel of Yasha to bring salvation, or he brought salvation. And Yehoshua could arguably be a Yiktol he feel of the same root. The only problem is that there's an U instead of an A or E. Nevertheless, U's and E's go back and forth in Hebrew, so it's actually not too terribly far-fetched. And Yehoshua is where later on the name Yeshua comes from, the Aramaic pronunciation of Yehoshua. So it has to do with salvation, but most people like to point out that we have a Yod He Vav at the front, which is a theophoric element. Maybe I'm fine with that. I wonder if this is actually a Yiktol Yod, and this is a Hefil He, and this is the first root letter Yod, which was originally Vav, Shin
Yeah.
Ein.
Hmm.
Alternatively, you could have Yeho, which is God's name, with the root Shua, which has a similar meaning. Wait, Shua, is Shua crying out? Shua. Anyway, so there we have options. Yehoshua comes from, or is Moses' name for Hosea. What's the word bin?
Ben, son.
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 It's
Strange that it shows up here
why
as
is it,
bin
what's it
instead of
only
ben.
one it's got a hirik rather than a than the what's the two dots.
Yeah, the tzere.
Yeah,
So
it's there before because it's in the construct.
the absolute form, like you said, has the
Yeah.
tzere.
Yeah.
And usually in the construct form, it drops all the way down to a segol.
Yeah, that's what I was
They
thinking.
good, yeah.
Here it doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Why?
then again, well, that's a great question. But then again,
vowel.
compare daughter. How do you say his daughter? Remember,
Bat.
daughter is
Bato.
bat.
Bat.
How do you say
Bato.
his daughter?
Or
Mm-mm.
bajo.
Bato.
To.
Bito. Bito.
Bito.
Mhm.
So here's kind of what happens in Hebrew when the original vowel of daughter is probably bat, like this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
In an attempt to rush to pronounce it quicker, it drops to a shva.
Ta.
And this also, I mean, technically has a shva at the end of it. You can't have two shvas, so it goes to chirik or something like that.
Mm.
Well, apparently that's something similar that happened with Ben.
Mhm.
But then there's this other phenomenon in Hebrew that I've brought up to you guys over and over, and I'll continue to do it. Remember this one, Malko?
Mm-hmm.
This one also would have originally had two shvas at the end, which turned into
Mel.
a segol, which influences the
Mel.
preceding vowel with another segol. Segols are artificial. So let me ask you then, what do you think is more original, bin or ben, if you know segols are artificial?
Mhm.
Maybe bin is more accurate, more original, and it's also preserved in like Bito, his daughter. So we also get to see this showing up in Jonah. Remember towards the end when the plant comes up overnight? Bin Laila Haya bin Laila Avad, same bin, same word. Let's see. Shemot on it. Okay, we can keep going.
I
Yes,
just want to make a
question.
quick observation.
Go ahead, Tim.
So we could reread that as a foreshadowing of Messiah, Yeshua, because we back up to Moshe, Ben Nun, Yeshua, Ben Nun, Nun, the masculine proper noun as the son of the father, being Joshua's father, but Nun also means fish or prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And if we back up to Yikra, Moshe, Hosea means salvation. He called out, Moses called out when he struck, he called it out when he struck or drew the water from, salvation, drew the water of salvation from Ben Nun, the fish, Yahushua.
Nice.
One question.
Thomas, you have a question. Go ahead.
Lehoshea is Lamed is the preposition, yes?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
correct.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't get to see Nun being used as fish very often, but it is in Akkadian, it is used for fish.
Or
Ah,
prosperity. Or prosperity.
Or prosperity, having to do with the the multiplying of fish. What was it in the Exodus?
It's also in John.
In the Exodus, remember the people multiplied very rapidly. The root used there is the same as fish, dag.
Mhm.
So that's another possible midrash to look for about the people of God multiplying like fish, being fishers of men and stuff like that.
So I was pointing out to Eileen earlier today in an earlier open class that it occurred to me this morning that the divine message in the Bible is written north and south, but the message of mankind is written from east to west. And that's how we're threading this together. When I make that kind of a comment, we're threading it in the same fashion.
All right, awesome. All right, who's my next reader? Voldana. Your microphone's on mute. Are you there?
Yes.
Yay, I
Like-
hear you.
I
Would you
got
like
it.
to read?
Yes, please.
All yours. Go
I'll
right ahead.
try anyway.
Of course, I'll help you if you need it.
Oh, okay, thank you. Vaish la or Tom Moshe la tour at Erez Be Naan Ve your mare al lehem alu ze ba ne gav via li tam at ha ha.
Very good. How long have you been reading Hebrew?
About a year.
All right. All right. I do want to remind you about that pesky tzadi, how it makes the TS instead of Z sound, and how ayin, even though it looks like a Y, has nothing to do with Y. It's an ayin sound.
Yeah.
Or in modern Hebrew, just make it go silent. Treat it like an aleph. Okay, let me read through one time. Everyone follow along. Vayishlach otam Moshe latur et eretz Canaan vayomer alehem alu ze banegev va'alitem et hahar. All right, this is now that we know the word latur, I think we know all the other words here, don't we? What is va'alitem? What's the root?
Aliyah.
Yeah, same as
Aleph,
aliyah.
Lamed, He. Yeah.
Ain lamed yod. Good. To
Ayin.
go up like
Ayin
aliyah.
Lamed Yod,
That's it.
Aliyah.
That's right. Same as alu. There's your imperative form. Hey, you all, ascend. Go up.
Mhm.
Vayishlach otam Moshe eretz Canaan. Okay, yeah. Does anybody know what the root negev means, at least in modern Hebrew?
North and sorry, south.
Okay,
Or-
kind of. So
South.
much like Yama means west, right?
Yeah.
Yama is to the west, but it literally means towards the sea. So we translate it in the Bible as west, even though it means towards the sea. So what is Negev, even though we translate it as south? What is it literally?
Hmm. To
At least in modern Hebrew, it's to wipe. So a magevet is like a little baby wipe or something. It's something used for wiping. And every time I read Negev in the Bible, I think of, I don't know if it's the hand of God or someone else just wiping away all the moisture and all the life away from the Negev. or being wiped with the dry wind. That's what I think. I don't know if that's actually a legitimate explanation, but in modern Hebrew,
Right.
nagav is to wipe something.
Yeah, okay, that is dust on the table, perhaps, you know? Dust like sand, so
If you
wipe
wipe
to
it off, it's nagav.
yeah, it's
Lingov.
it's okay.
It works from a
how,
prophetic perspective.
how prophetic is it?
Because if you wipe it up, but the prophecy is that it will grow.
It will
grow,
blossom.
It will blossom.
The
And
Negev will blossom.
that's exactly what they did when they built that desalinization plant and then pumped it over to the Sea of Galilee. The Sea of Galilee came down to the Judean desert, and once the Judean desert was fulfilled, it proceeded down into the Negev.
Mhm.
So I completely agree with your assessment.
Yeah, it preaches anyway. Whether it's historically or etymologically valid is a different issue, but it preaches. Yeah. All right, next reader. Who hasn't read yet and wants to?
I can.
I'd like to see. I want you to. Okay, if nobody else wants to, go ahead, Thomas.
Okay. וראיתם את הארץ מה היא ואת העם היושב עליה, החזק הוא הרפה, המעט הוא עם רב.
Okay, so this is the intention of sending the spies into the land. Find out about the land, find out about the people. Are they strong? Are they weak? Are they few? Are they many? Uritem et haaretz mahi. Ve'et ha'am hayoshev aleha hechazak hu harafe ham'at hu im rav. All right, so if we divide this up, we've got kind of a comma right there because of this symbol. That's your logical halfway point. And then we've got, let's see, kind of a comma there because of the double dots there called, anybody remember?
The name. Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that. Zakif Katon. Okay, so this is like your quarter marker. And there's another one right there. All right, so
Is the center marker the wishbone, or am I wrong?
the halfway marker called etnachta is the wishbone looking symbol, the logical halfway point. And then of course the two dots at the end is the end. And
yeah. And ta'am, what's that? Over the end?
I think that's called pashta. But I don't know all of the names, so I'm not the expert that I should be in the cancellation mark system, but I know the important ones, and I highly recommend that all readers of Hebrew also be familiar with the most important ones first, and then as you're able to, learn the less important ones.
Okay, thank you.
You'll notice that this one over here always shows up at the end of a word, so it's not even marking where the accent goes. It should have been right there. So you can't trust that one to know where the stress goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And there's the root ra'ah, resh aleph yod, to see. And they saw? No, not they. Who's the subject?
And you.
And you all saw or will see?
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to the guys right now, right? Moses is like, this is what you're going to do. So it seems like the context demands an incompleted action. Ergo, we're looking at what kind of verb?
Yeah, one of them.
That one, vekatal. Meaning you take a katal verb, you add v to the front. Of course, here it turns into u because of the shva, but I digress. You add the v to the front and it flips the tense, turns what was a completed verb into an incompleted one. And you all see, or and you shall see. The land, what is she? She? I mean,
The
there's
land.
a vav. There's a vav right there, a misspelled he, but fortunately the scribes gave us a chirik here to know that it's she, but we already knew that because land is feminine.
Them. Yeah.
What is she? What's she like? And oh, by the way, the people. Hayoshev aleha. What is Yoshev?
Masculine.
What is Yoshev? What kind of a word is Yoshev? I'd like you all to Hoshev.
Participle?
Exactly.
It's the sitter to dwell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yoshev is to sit or dwell. So you can come up with lots of participles, and that's what modern Hebrew uses for the present tense. Ani Yoshev, I'm sitting right now. Ani holech, I'm walking. Ani omed, I'm standing, so on and so forth. O e o e o e. Aleha, upon her, the land. Hechazakhu, what is this?
That is a rule for gluteral not pronounced in the first letter. Hey, chazak. Definite.
Article.
Definite article. Yeah.
The strong they, or the strong he?
The strong.
How do we turn this into a
Is it a
sentence?
question? Is it the question one?
Yeah. So
How
here's a
strong are
great
they?
example. Here's a great example where that initial hey can be confused whether it's a definite article or an interrogative
Yeah.
particle. And there's no way for us to know except that, well, that's not true. I guess context tells us that it should be an interrogative particle because it's coming at the beginning of a segment. See, there's the end of a segment because of that guy. It's coming at the beginning of a segment, and usually the question words come first. But also, if it's the strong, who, it's like, well, how am I supposed to translate that? Context also gives us this over here, which is somewhat parallel to it. So, question, strong, is he the people? He is singular because it's a collective singular. It's referring to them, the people, whatever. Are they strong? Harafe. Question, weak. Or are they weak? So because of the context here with an interrogative hey, and because it's starting a sentence, and because he wants them to find out about the land, so he wants to have certain questions answered, that provides the context for us to know, no, it is not the definite article. It's the interrogative particle.
Is Rafe where Rofe comes from?
I'm afraid
So
not.
illness.
Well, I mean, okay, so when we talk about a rofe, it's spelled with an aleph.
Yeah,
However, it could still etymologically be related, but if you look it up in the dictionary, this is listed as a separate root having to do with a state of being weak, and a rofe is a healer, someone who restores health. So in that sense, they're opposites, even though they're so similar.
Yeah.
Me'at is a few. Is that an interrogative, hey?
Yes, I say, because there is no dagesh in the mem, and
Right.
it's
Yeah. But sometimes, but sometimes a definite article will forgo the dagesh if there's a shva.
Yeah.
Jared,
It just follows the same.
double
It's following
shot.
the same before. It's
Context.
Yeah.
Question,
double
question,
shot.
question.
oh,
I think it's
gotta leave.
context.
I gotta play on what you just said.
Okay.
Question. I'm gonna just for the sake of learning, I'd like to challenge you on this. I'm not disagreeing that it's an interrogative particle, but I want to make an argument that it's a definite article.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to say it's therein the mighty. See, there's no question mark after that word. But if we put a question mark there and see the land, what it and the people dwelling therein, the strong, pause, question mark, whether they or weak or few, they or many. If I put a question mark there, word, and a pause, I could make that a definite article. I'm just
Okay.
making an argument. for the case.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a fair statement that
Mhm.
if we didn't know that there was a pause right here, if the Masoretic scribes didn't tell us to pause here, which would then be the end of a clause, then
Okay.
it is possible that this could tie into that. And but then it would be used substantively. The strong one or the strong people are they. They are the strong people. Question weak. So how would we well, actually I digress. I mean, I take that back, because if we don't have the Masoretic scribe, that means we don't even have the vowel pointings yet. So that means this could be a definite article, that could be a definite article. What I would point out though is we already know that Moses is asking questions because of up here.
Yeah.
Already at the
Mhm.
beginning of the verse, we have a question word here. We know this over here is also a question word, which is loosely translated as whether, like also a yes or no question. However, in modern Hebrew, we would translate it as if. I get it. Biblical, it's a little different. It can be if, whether, yes, no. So then the heys in here, if they were definite articles, it would be really hard to fit them in. The
So
people.
actually, if we move that double point cantillation mark from therein above strong, I might have a better case. But since it's behind it,
Yeah, if the
Looks
double
like
dot
that.
was over here, then that means it would belong to what precedes it rather than
Right.
being disjuncted from it.
Mhm.
I just
Now-
learned something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, here's the thing. These are cantillation marks that the Masoretic scribes are writing in to try to preserve a tradition that was handed down to them, and they did overall they did a fantastic job. But sometimes are they wrong? Yeah. So don't get caught up into the rut, or don't get caught in the rut of, well, the Masoretic said we should put a pause here, so I'm not even going to think about anything else. No, do it. Because guess what? Most of the foundation, the formation of famous rabbinic texts like Midrash and Talmud, there was no cantillation mark system yet. And a lot of the play on words where the rabbis say, in this particular verse, read it this way instead of this way, and it brings a nuance out of the text. All of that kind of got squelched as soon as the Masoretes put all the cantillation marks on there and all the vowel points that
Yes.
said, this is how you read it. Don't do it anyhow else.
Yes.
So if you want to get back to that open-minded sense of freedom or whatever, yeah, try reading it without the vowel points. And that way you can treat the text a little bit like those rabbis did, 2000 years ago. Just make sure that whatever conclusion you come to agrees with what came before. Otherwise, you're a heretic.
One
My
question.
goodness. Yeah, question.
That was a good one.
Question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hayoshev, is that a definite article?
It has to be. We've got
Yes.
Ha'am, Hayoshev. It has to agree.
Okay. Yes. Hey, clear.
I was practicing on the Geniza. Got into the Geniza library and I was practicing in it.
Oh,
And
yeah?
So it took me in a number of different directions.
Fantastic. All right, let's keep going. Who's the next reader? Step right up. Don't be shy.
Can I go?
All right, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. Uma haaretz asher hu yoshev, sorry, be ba hatova, he im ra'a ומה ומה והערים אשר הוא ישב בהן במה הנים אם במבצרים.
Very good. Awesome. ומה הארץ אשר הוא יושב בה, הטובה היא אם רעה. ומה הערים אשר הוא יושב בהנה, הבמחנים אם במבצרים. It's interesting that it says in tense. What's the root of this word right here? Habmachanim.
Mem, het, nun.
Machane is
Camp.
camp, yes. Camp,
Right.
yeah.
So what's the root of machane?
Machane from machan. Mem. Chani. Chen.
Is it mem nun hey?
No mem.
That is,
It's het. Het, nun,
that
yod.
is grace or favor or
Well, that's actually chet nun nun. Chet nun
yes,
nun is
yeah.
grace or favor. And
Oh.
chet nun yod, which we know as hana, means he camped. He camped. And in modern Hebrew, it means he parked. Like he
Okay.
parked the car. And a place of parking would be the chanaya, a parking area. And a store is called a chanut. Wait, what does a store have to do with parking?
Where you abandon your stuff.
Remember that stores were originally people bringing their carts of wares and parking in the plaza to sell their wares. So the stores parked in order to sell. So it's a chanut. Now, brick and mortar stores are also called chanuyot, chanut, but it's all related. Camping, encampment, parking, store, it's all from the same root.
That
So we
is
have
very
another-
interesting.
We have another interrogative particle preceding a prefix
Which word?
on whether and tense. On that habamachanim. So the
Ooh,
ha is
that's
another interrogative particle. With a
that's really troubling actually, because there should not be a dagesh in the letter bet.
Oh.
It shouldn't be there. That should not be there. That's a really interesting. We know that this is interrogative. We know that one's interrogative. All right. So I'm guessing because of context, they decided to translate this as the word weather, but I do also have another theory. It might be far-fetched, but here it comes. Did you know that the letter bet pronounced as a V, which I'll write as either BH, which turned into V, that this arose because of Aramaic influence?
which is also wa if you're Ashkenazi.
Come again?
Ashkenazis pronounce the V as a w, a W, a w.
Wow.
So instead
I
of
don't
it would be waharetz.
You might be thinking of the let's see, who are they? The Oh, stop it. The Yemenite Jews still pronounce Vav as a W sound. But when it comes to the letter B or bet, it was originally a B sound, and under Aramaic influence, it came to have this V or V. I'm literally buzzing my lips together. V, which then later turned into V. So how it's pronounced by whom elsewhere, I can't attest to that. But my point is that if this arose from Aramaic influence, question, is this before or after the Aramaic influence?
After.
Before.
It's way before. Way before. It was the Babylonian exile where we see that Aramaic influence. So this is way before. So I know it's a stretch, but the letter bet would have originally had a B sound here, even though it wouldn't have been grammatically doubled. Whatever. That's a shot in the dark. I'm with you 100%. The interrogative particle should not have a strong dagesh here. This one does. But if you put the word the right there, it doesn't make sense. So
Right.
context wins.
Interesting.
Why did you pronounce heave? You read two verses and there is normally heave, and you pronounced he.
You mean this
Yes.
word here? It's
Yeah.
it's a perpetual kativ kere. It's Kativ Kere is where it's written one way, but you're supposed to pronounce it another way. The most well known of which is God's name, but there are others. This one is a perpetual Kativ Kere. They put the chirik there, and they tell you to read it as he because of that little chirik there. Why there's a vav there is an issue of that's how we say this. There isn't much agreement on where the vav comes from. It should have originally been huwa versus hiya, but then again in Hebrew, vavs and yods go back and forth so much that there must have been some dialectic issue where somebody put vav instead of yod instead of vav, and so that's all we have to go on. Maybe it should have originally been hiya, and it turned into hiwa. But the scribes tell us to pronounce it as he.
Okay.
All right.
That's not the problem. That's not the problem. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Next reader. Actually, I wonder, should we jump forward a little bit or not? How are we doing on time?
I can read fast.
All right. Does anyone else want to read before I give this one to Thomas? Okay, Thomas, it's all yours.
Okay. Uma haaretz Hashemena hi im raza hayesh bach et im ein vehit chastartem ulkachtem miperi haaretz vehayamim yemei bikurei anavim.
You did fine. You did fine. I'm looking to see. Here we go. I'm looking in my BHS to see if that preceding verse should have had a dagesh in it. There is a note on it. What is that? Verse 19b. Because that's going to kind of bother me. No, it's something completely different. Okay. Wow.
So you don't need to make it 3 a.m. to look.
Yeah, so I don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. to look. That's absolutely right. All right, let me read through one time. Follow along with me. Uma haaretz hashmenahi im raza. Hayesh ba etz o ayin. Vehit chazaktem ulekachtem mipri haaretz. Vehayamim hang on a second. V'hayamim yemei bikorei anavim. All right, so there's a little clarification note for us right there. We'll get to in just a second. This was currently the time of the first fruits of the grapes. Is the land shmena? Well, we think of it being fat, but the idea being fertile, rich. Im raza, if somebody is thin, they are razeh, or if it is a woman, raza. So this is the idea of lacking. Is the land fertile or is she lacking? Hayesh, is there ba'etz o ayin? Is there a tree or what is that?
Or not?
Yeah, this is the same word as ein. Ein means there is not. Something does not exist. Just as bayit becomes beit, and with or without a yod, I guess a yod. Just as bayit becomes bet, so also ayin and ein, they are related. There is not.
Yeah, okay, bait is construct.
Mm-hmm.
Norman, or?
Right. Yeah, this one is not construct. It's parallel to the absolute form.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas ein in the construct is saying there is not, and then you fill in what there is not. There is not a man in the house. Ein ish babait. So it's acting kind of like a construct because those vowels drop from a triphthong to a tzere, ayi to an e. All right, now we're going to chazak ourselves or yourselves. Strengthen yourselves, which they translate as be you of good courage. Okay. Ulakachtem mipri haaretz. Lakach, and you shall take. The idea being take it and bring it to us. So they translate it as bring. Mipri, from the fruit of haaretz, the land. Why? Because those days were the days of the first fruits of grapes. Well, that kind of gives us a little bit of a timeline on when they came into the land, whenever the grapes ripen. All right. All right. Does anyone want to read besides Thomas?
I just want to make one more observation.
Go ahead, Tim.
In lakach, ulachak, to take. Now, if we change that to he took, how do we change that to he took? I'm modifying the text here.
It would be lakach. He took.
Lach. So we put an u, to take. Ul.
Oh, if you wanted to put vav in front of it, then it would be ve lakach. So this right here is a vekatal. So it means, and you all shall take. And that u right there is what's flipping the tense. So by adding a vav to lakach, it changes it from he took to and he shall take.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Imperfect, actually. Sorry, it's grammar joke. Grammar joke. Perfect, imperfect. Never mind. All right, I tried. All right. Who would like this itty bitty little verse? Eileen, do you want it?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Vayilehu,
Vaya alu.
vayalalu, vayitoru,
Vaya turu.
vayaturu, et haaretz, mitzvara,
Mi midbar.
oh, excuse me, midbar. Itzim,
Tzin.
sin,
Tzin.
ad, rehab,
Rechov.
rehov, ba,
Levo.
vo, levo, ha, ha, to,
Mhm. Hamat.
hamat.
Hamat. Now, that's an interesting name right there. We'll talk about it here in a second.
Yeah.
Vaya'alu vayaturu et haaretz mimidbar tzin ad rechov levo hamat. Vaya'alu, and they ascended. Vayaturu, and they did reconnaissance. They searched out et haaretz, the land. Where did they go? Mimidbar Tzin. They started off from the wilderness of Tzin, which is on the south side. Something I wanted to mention earlier about Negev is that what we think of today as the Negev, the desert, is not biblical Negev. Biblical Negev is, oh gosh, I don't want to mess it up. It's is it Beit She'an or Beersheba? The southern, oh, I feel like I have to check. Hold on a second. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Or is it Beit She'an? That looks, I think it is. Nope, that's not Beit She'an. It's Beersheba. Let's try again. Beersheba. There we go. Okay, so let me scooch that over just a little bit. We think of the Negev today as being all of this little triangle, isosceles triangle right there. But in biblical times, usually the Negev was pretty much this area right here, which was as far south as you could go and still be able to eke some crops out of the ground. Anything south of this, you're not going to grow any food, so it was pretty much uninhabitable unless you could get irrigation of some kind. Anyway, so back to here, when we see the wilderness of Tzin, it's going to be close to there. Ad Rechov Levo Hamat. All right, what is Rechov?
Wideness.
Right, wide. So
Wide.
in modern Hebrew, a Rachov is a street, but in biblical times, a Rachov is a plaza.
Oh.
So place that's wide.
Ah.
Levo, what is Levo?
To come.
Right. Usually it should be la
Enter.
vo. It should be la vo, to enter. But here it's got a shva because it's in construct with the next word. So we lose the kamatz. So the entering of, or the either entering or going of hamat. Anyone have an idea of what the hama is?
The hot place.
The sun.
Sun.
So Hama is originally the sun. Later on, it's called Shemesh, which happened to also be a Canaanite god
And
of the sun.
yeah.
Just like
It's-
Yareach used to be a month, and then later on it turns into Chodesh. I mean, we get to see some words changing here.
Choma is a wall.
Choma is,
Chama
right?
is Chama, and I think that's equal. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Choma
don't
is
know
wall.
either. I wonder if Choma comes from well, I guess that is Chum, right? Chama, Chum, Chomo, Chomotayim. I don't know what the root of Chomot is, or Choma. It's a good question. I don't know why it would be related to hot.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if this place was called Going of the Sun. Maybe because they had great sun. Well, it says entering. So is that sun rises or sun sets? Hard to know.
Yes. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the place is known for its entering of the sun or the going of the sun. There is a place where Jacob is, remember when Jacob is headed to Padan Aram and then he comes back and that's when he meets Esau. Somewhere in that vicinity, we get to see the Hebrew say something like Bo Hashemesh, and it's talking about the sun is going down. And then maybe that's when he wrestled with the man, the angel, and named it Penuel. But anyway, Bo Hashemesh is talking about the going down of the sun. So here, I wonder if it's the going down of the sun or the coming of the sun, rising or setting. All right. Listen, my family's actually coming in from out of town shortly, and I want to be able to meet and greet them when they arrive. So I hope you all have enjoyed the past hour. And per usual, if there's anything you want to do to help out Hungry for Hebrew, here's how you can do it. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Until then, lehitraot v'shalom.
להתראות, שלום.
Thank you so much for coming.
להתראות ושלום.
Lehitraot.
תודה.
Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you.